Have you ever read Man's Search for Meaning?
I have not.
By Dr. Viktor Frankl. So it's about this. It's a beautiful story about a concentration camp survivor.
Okay.
And he survived Auschwitz, I believe, and he details as a psychologist his experience of coming off the train, seeing his family and friends gassed and burned alive, and going through the intense pain and process, and observing, because he's a psychologist and he's observing who's going to die, who's not, how it's going to happen, shivering, waking up back to the nightmare again. And so he articulates something really beautiful where he's in the snow, he's working, there's ice in his feet and his boots, and they don't even fit. They were from someone that died, and he feels like he's at the end of his effort, and then he pictures himself in the future teaching in a lecture hall. And he's telling his account of what he experienced, and he's breaking it down to an audience, and they're taking notes, and light bulbs are going off on people's mind. And then he comes back to where he is, and he's like, I can do this. I can handle this. What did he have that nobody else had? And this is what he articulates in this book, is you can overcome any hardship if you have a strong level of meaning. He had meaning.
Right.
Not just like optimism, but a deep enough meaning to pull him through. So what do I think? And grit is like the power to survive a concentration camp. It's you have meaning plus the beautiful element and gift of movement. If you can have deep enough meaning and consistent movement, then I believe that you can have grit.
That's awesome. So meaning, I think, is huge. One thing that I ask myself all the time, and I ask friends of mine, is what's your why? Now, I've heard, like Grant Cardone, for instance, he's like, it doesn't matter what your why is, just win, right? And I think that feels good, but it doesn't last. And so
Probably
when it
not
doesn't
consistent.
last, because we're correct, and then you give up because it's not deep enough. So for me, the why has come through years of really introspection experiences. Till now, I feel confident in understanding what my true why is, and keeps me moving and going in that direction. But it took me a long time. A lot of my friends, I ask them, and they still don't have a clear why. They have an idea of what direction they want to go in, but that the real purpose and meaning, they're still trying to find out. And how that manifests, practically speaking, right? What career, what am I going to do specifically? If I'm going to start a business, what kind of business, what problem does it solve? But one thing that I've noticed that helps anybody, even if the why isn't clear, is high standards, because everybody wants more. But not everyone is willing to raise their standards. And when you hold them accountable to raising their standards, it hurts. And so that's where grit shows up, right? And most people quit. And I have a few friends that, one lives here, I rent out the room to, and then another one I met at church. And so they're young guys, they're driven, they're motivated. They're watching all the business podcasts, the Alex Hormozis, all these things, and they're reading all the books. And they have these big aspirations. And so I found that the Marine Corps taught me that level of grit, and it's something that I'm so glad I went through. And I wish a lot of people got that opportunity to experience, right? Because I'll never be in a position where my standards are so high that if I fail, people die. So when you start to look at life the same way, like there's no reason why we get out and we don't sustain that level of standard of whatever we do, right? Whether it's doing your bed, whether it's, working with the client. Like if you make a mistake, people die. If you just look at it like that, you're going to operate at a higher level than most people. So with them, they're doing this 90-day challenge, and they both want to be entrepreneurs. So one thing that we kind of agreed on was you need to read a book a month. And this is something that is not crazy. I mean, we did this at Valuetainment, and a lot of businesses do this. And so they're reading that, and then they have to write a report by the end of the month. But the one component that for me, I had a huge limiting belief on making money. Like I thought I needed a job. I needed an opportunity, and I wasn't the one that could provide that. I was at the mercy of whoever had the opportunity to give it to me, and then I had to impress them enough to get it. So now that I've been doing, business on my own, I see things completely different. So what I'm doing with them is I tell them, you need to wash windows, which is something so rudimentary. Anybody can wash windows. It doesn't cost a lot of money to get the what you need to be able to do this. And you're going to make at least $500 a week. So by the end of the month, you'll make $2,000 without a job, with like no opportunity. You just knock on doors and then you offer your services, right? But the first month, they're not making money. They're just washing windows for free. So they're knocking on doors and then they're saying, hey, I'm an up and coming entrepreneur. I'm going to start a window washing company and I'd like to wash your windows for free. All I ask is if you like my service, you tell your friends, right? So what does that do? Number one, they're learning how to be leaders, because leaders oftentimes have to give of themselves. They have to put in a lot of effort. They have to serve without the expectation of receiving anything. So he knows he's not going to get paid. They might give him a tip or something, but it's not expected. He may or may not get the referral, but he's serving, right? Number two, he's learning sales. So if you can't sell something that's free, how much more difficult will it be to sell something that they have to pay for? So they're knocking on doors, cold calling, and these things. So that's what they're doing month one. Month two, now they have to do one house for free and also $500 a week. Month three, same thing, except it goes up to $1,000. And by the way, they also need to wash their car by hand every week. Because, I mean, these are younger guys. So you and I grew up differently. Like, I had to wash my parents' car.
Right.
For free. Like, it was just a given. You know, I had to wash windows for free just because they were dirty. But, you know, nowadays, like the newer generation, the whole concept of, you know, being out in the sun and doing something that you don't necessarily love. Exactly. It's like, why should I do this? This makes no sense. Right. I can just be in my computer. So they're breaking through those thresholds of uncomfortability. And so I say that to say, when I see people forced to raise their standards, their performance goes up, their ability to produce whatever it is. Like in this case, they're going to know that they can make money without anybody. They'll know that they can take a lot more pain than most people, just because people have a very small, you know, threshold for pain today. Down we go.